Picture it, 1993. A 19-year-old girl steps out onto the massive, honestly intimidating stage at the San Remo Music Festival over in Italy. She's not an established superstar. Actually, she's virtually unknown at this point. But the second she opens her mouth to sing, she delivers this heartbreak anthem that is just so devastating, so deeply authentic, that it literally catapults her to international stardom overnight. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into the true, absolutely wild story behind Laura Pausini's masterpiece, La Soledad. We're going to break down exactly how a very real, incredibly messy teenage heartbreak was transformed into one of the defining Latin pop ballads of the entire 1990s.
Let me ask you something. Have you ever had your heart broken so badly that you literally felt like you were drowning? Like, if you can cast your mind back and remember your very first real heartbreak. You know exactly what this feels like, right? It's that heavy, suffocating teenage angst. Well, I want you to imagine taking that exact raw pain, writing it down, and then singing it out loud in front of millions of people when you're just barely out of high school. No pressure, right? But that was Laura Pausini's reality. The boy who broke her heart? He wasn't some fictional character dreamed up in a writing room. He was incredibly real, and his name was Marco. To really understand the sheer gravity of this song, we have to look at what the title actually means. La Soledad, which translates to loneliness or solitude, isn't just, feeling a little bit sad on a rainy Sunday afternoon. No, it is the agonizing, all-consuming void and the crushing weight of loneliness that hits you right after a first heartbreak. Laura took this completely debilitating daily routine of missing someone, and she somehow, incredibly, spun it into a Latin pop masterpiece. But here's the kicker. The song we all know, the one we all cried to, it almost didn't happen the way we think it did.
Section 1. The real origin. So who exactly was Marco?
Okay, let's dive into this backstory, because seeing how an unknown teenager fundamentally changed the trajectory of the song is just fascinating. What's really interesting here is the sheer bravery it highlights. You see, when the veteran songwriters first handed this track to Laura, it wasn't about Marco at all. Nope. The original pitch was this totally generic song about a girl named Anna who had moved away. Pretty standard stuff. But Laura, at just 18 years old, point-blank refused to sing it that way. She basically gave them a strict ultimatum. She told her father she would only perform the track if they changed the name to Marco, and if it became an authentic, open letter specifically addressed to her real-life high school boyfriend who she was currently in the process of losing. She demanded authenticity, plain and simple.
Moving on to Section 2, Anatomy of a Diary, the Teenage Void.
Now that absolute demand for authenticity, that is exactly what made the song a phenomenon. Its genius relies entirely on these hyper-specific details that act as literal teenage diary entries. And this quote brilliantly illustrates exactly what I mean. The lyrics don't just lean on vague pop cliches like, oh, I miss you so much. Instead, she sings, El tren de la mañana llega ya sin él. The morning train arrives without him now. This takes that grand, sweeping emotional pain and grounds it right in the everyday, relatable reality of a lonely morning commute. I mean, it's the vivid visual of standing on a train platform, looking for a face that you just know isn't going to be there anymore.
And the crucial point really hits home in lyrics like this one. I look at your photo in my diary. You're here between English and math class. Wow, that exact agonizing feeling of sitting in a high school classroom, staring at a physical photograph tucked into a notebook, completely and utterly unable to focus on whatever the teacher is saying, it perfectly captures the universal teenage experience. It's messy, it's distracted, and honestly, it's just so deeply personal.
So ultimately, the unbearable weight of La Soledad is found right there, in that hyper-specific, everyday routine of an empty high school desk. By flat-out refusing to be generic, Laura completely transformed her private teenage void into a massive public anthem. Millions of people across the globe heard these specific details and instantly recognized their own high school heartbreaks mirrored right back at them.
Which brings us to Section 3, the unexpected twist, the real reason Marco left.
Okay, so the established myth of this famous breakup completely differs from reality. Let's look at the timeline. In early 1993, the song drops. The lyrics explicitly claim that Marco's father forced the family to relocate for work, tearing the young lovers apart like some modern-day Romeo and Juliet tragedy. By late 1993, this deeply romantic, heartbreaking story propels Laura to massive stardom at San Remo. Everyone is practically weeping for poor Laura and Marco, separated by cruel fate. But then, years later, well after she had sold millions of records and securely cemented her place as a global icon, Laura finally drops a massive truth bomb on her fans. She confesses the true and honestly completely unromantic reason Marco actually left.
And here is that confession. Marco didn't move away at all. Nope. He actually broke up with Laura because she wasn't ready to take the next step intimately. Now, the heartbreak she felt? That was 100% real. She really was devastated. She really was staring at his photo in math class. But Marco's actual exit was far less romantic and, let's be real, far more typical of a superficial teenage boy than the legendary song ever suggested. Fate didn't tear them apart. Marco just walked away.
All right, Section 4, the ultimate reframe, how heartbreak built an empire.
Let's wrap up this explainer by highlighting the absolute irony and the incredible butterfly effect that this one specific teenage rejection created. First off, a 19-year-old girl channeled her raw, entirely unromantic rejection into literal high art. Second, because of the genuine emotional truth in her voice, La Soledad resonated globally as the definitive anthem for being left behind. And the third point, this one is just the most satisfying. Marco, walking away for his own superficial teenage reasons, inadvertently handed Laura Pausini the keys to a legendary, decades-long international music career. By breaking her heart, he accidentally gave her the world.
So I want to leave you with this thought. Have you ever had a Marco in your life? You know, someone who walked away, leaving you feeling just entirely empty in the moment, but whose exit actually cleared the path for something far greater than you could have ever imagined? It's pretty amazing what beautiful empires can be built on the foundation of a broken teenage heart. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this gives you a whole new appreciation for the absolute genius of Laura Pausini.